Welcome back to the Sociology Experience. In this video, I'd like to talk about crime and reactions to and by deviance. Let's define crime. Sociologists define crime as the violation of criminal laws enacted by a locality, a state, or the federal government. Let's start by looking at how society reacts to deviance. We will be talking about types of crimes, imprisonment, and the death penalty. Let's start with types of crimes. White-collar crime is defined as crime committed by people of high social position in the course of their occupations, such as bank embezzler, business fraud, bribery, and antitrust violations. Corporate crime is defined as illegal actions of a corporation or people acting on its behalf. Hate crimes are criminal acts against a person or a person's property by an offender motivated by racial, religious, ancestry, sexual orientation, or physical disability. Crimes against a person refers to crimes that direct violence or the threat of violence against others, also called violent crimes. Examples include murder, forcible rape, and robbery. Crimes against property, also called property crimes, are crimes that involve theft of property belonging to others, burglary, larceny, theft, and arson. And finally, we have what's called victimless crimes, violations of law in which there are no obvious victims. Examples include illegal drug use, prostitution, and gambling. There are approximately 2 million people that are imprisoned in the United States. The United States imprisons a larger share of its population than any other country in the world. There are 4 major social reasons why we imprison people. Retribution is an act of moral vengeance by which society makes the offender suffer as much as the suffering caused by the crime. Rehabilitation, a program for reforming the offender to prevent later offenses. Incapacitation, also called societal protection, is rendering an offender incapable of further offenses temporarily through imprisonment or permanently by execution. And finally, deterrence, the attempt to discourage criminality through the use of fear and punishment. And that leads us to the death penalty, also known as capital punishment. The United States is the only Western high-income nation that carries out the death penalty. Research supports that capital punishment does not serve as a deterrent, as some believe that it does. It costs society more money to carry out the death penalty than to imprison an inmate for life. And that's predominantly due to the extremely high cost in the trial process. Capital punishment is carried out at the Florida State Prison in Rayford, Florida. Now let's turn our attention to reactions by deviance, and we will take a look at primary, secondary, and tertiary deviance and recidivism. Edwin Lamert identified 3 types of deviance. Primary deviance refers to acts of deviance that have little effect on the self-concept. Secondary deviance refers to acts of deviance incorporated into the self-concept around which an individual orients his or her behavior. And tertiary deviance refers to the normalizing of behavior considered deviant by mainstream society. If we were to take an example through primary, secondary, and tertiary deviance, this is what it would look like. A prostitute. A prostitute in the primary deviant stage would admit to himself or to herself that what I am doing is wrong and it's really not a part of who I am. The next stage would be the prostitute would say, well, this is who I am. It is a part of me, but I do think that what I'm doing is wrong. If the person, a prostitute, gets to the tertiary deviance step, the prostitute will say, this is who I am, and I do not believe that what I am doing is wrong. And finally, recidivism. Recidivism refers to the proportion of people who are rearrested. Recidivism rates in the United States can run as high as 85 to 90%, where the average is roughly 75%. What does recidivism basically mean? It means that people that are arrested when released from a jail or prison are very likely to be rearrested and go back. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you back soon. Bye-bye.